welcome to this week's podcast. On this week's podcast, we have the honor of having Bjorn, the National Director of BNI Canada. Kai, welcome.
Hey, George. Thank you for having me.
It's great to see you. It's been a little while since we saw each other, I think about a year ago, but it's great to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So we get right into it here. We waste no time. How does your BNI story begin?
Oh, my BNI story. You forget, right? As you, because you get too many stories. But it started, my background was in sport, and I had flown back to Canada, Montreal specifically, with a wife and a child when I had retired from sport. And I lived by the Royal St. Lawrence Yacht Club in Montreal. My parents have terrible coffee. I'd flown in, was at their house until we could find our own pad. So I walked over to my yacht club at 6:30, 6:45, because I was on European time, to go get some coffee at my club. And all these crazy people were meeting at the yacht club. And some guy came out and said, "Hey, Kai." And sure enough, that was a BNI meeting. And I ended up using those people to build a house I'd bought, because I was rebuilding a home, and I used a lot of the service people within that chapter. But that's how I stumbled onto BNI, was by chance, which was great.
Amazing. So from sport to business in very quick, short order.
Yeah, well, I don't know how short the order was, but the opportunity popped up relatively quickly. And I started as a director consultant, not as a member. I'm a networker. I had to raise money, and I realized really quick that when I built a bridge, I want to keep it, right? Because that maintained that relationship, which really dovetailed well with BNI. And so I was looking for my next career, and I loved get members, build community, keep members, enlarge community. And so it resonated with me, and I started as a director consultant, and then slowly but surely, ended up buying Canada, and now the owner of BNI Canada, very proud owner of BNI Canada.
Absolutely. And you're doing a great job, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
What's the one piece of advice you'd give anybody thinking about joining BNI? I asked this question to all our podcast viewers.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. It's, you have two sides. One from a selfish side. I want to have you in BNI because I want access to your network, and I want to be able to generate opportunities personally, professionally, even more so with your network. But from the other side it's a contact sport. If you want to grow your business, if you want to grow your network, we are a very viable tool. And so whenever I meet anyone, we never want to have someone come into BNI that doesn't understand what it's all about, because then your experience isn't going to be perfect. But when you do understand, and when you are cognizant of the structured program that we offer, it is a heck of a tool. I always use the analogy like a gym. You can join any gym you want, but if you don't use the equipment, you're not going to be successful. And so in BNI, I just say, make sure you understand what the tools are, the commitment, expectations, level of engagement, and then I believe it works for everybody.
Yeah, that's a great analogy with the gym. I agree 100%. You got to use the platform, use the structure. BNI's been around for over 30 years. It's a great tool. Try not to change it too much, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, 100%.
So with everything that's going on around us today, Kai, what do you see in terms of networking for our future?
Listen, connectivity is so important. And, Zoom, who would have thought, last year this time, that everyone would be willing to engage and do this online, right? It was the purist that would go to Zoom. Now everyone does. And so I think we've had a cultural shift that we can be accessible and engaging in a bunch of different platforms. I mean, one of our core values is tradition and innovation. And so when you look at the tradition, like you said, George, 35 years we've been going, and 35 years we've been running the same program. The only differences are innovation. We don't fax our applications in now. We can email them, and then we can scan them. And so this is another iteration of that. But networking is important. Relationships are important, especially. It's easy to meet people, but to have a background and understanding, because we all know it takes us a long time to build our network. and it's really, really easy to blow the network up. And so we're working diligently for the future of BNI to be the masters of referral marketing in any medium, whether it's in person or whether it's going to be online.
Nice. And I think BNI International and BNI Canada did a great job in transitioning through the unexpected lockdown of not having a lot of downtime. We did a great job of getting everybody up and running fairly
It's
quickly.
amazing, man. We call it the pivot. It's known as the pivot. Yeah, think about it. You know, we as a BNI member, you have your chapter, but then you have a region, then you have a province, then you have a country, then you have the globe. And we're in 72 countries, and you know, the better part of 10,000 BNI Zoom meetings take place every week. And for us, it's a credit to the organization that they were able to pivot that quick. I mean, we're the largest Zoom clients on the planet. And to pivot inside 1 week, it's nothing would ever happen without the support of the collective community. And so as much as I'd love to take credit for it, it's you. It's you and your fellow members that said, you know what, we need to stay connected. Here's a viable piece of equipment at the gym, as we said, and now we all learned how to use it. And so I think it's a testament to the strength of our organization to stay connected and find ways to, you know, maybe be selfish and maintain our ability to generate opportunities collectively.
Absolutely. So share with me your favorite BNI success story.
You know, for me, my favorite BNI success story has to be that I'm not a tourist on the planet. And so it's something that I had a gentleman call me one time and he said, listen, if I don't use BNI Connect and all these tools, can I get a discount? I was like, oh man, you missed the boat. That's not what it's about. You're a resource. And so my favorite story comes vis-a-vis our ability to be resources. And when I say we're not a tourist, it's because we have connectivity around the globe. And if I have a friend or associate or someone going to Portugal, Spain, China, Singapore, you name it, I have contacts for them there so that they don't come in cold. We'll set you up with a place, we'll set you up with a vehicle, we'll set you up with some contacts, we'll set you up with some business meetings because we have like-minded people around the globe. And so it's a very generalistic best story, but it just jazzes me up whenever I see the globalness and the connectivity that we have, because that's what it's all about. You know, we are one footprint, one community around the world. And so when I get to see people accessing that, that's when I really become excited about the opportunities, because there's no ceiling, man. There is no ceiling. It's not generate a referral just from you, George. It's generate a referral, but then I may be able to access who knows what after. And so I'm lucky because I get to see this every day, of every week, of every month, every year, because we are generating lots of business for one another, and that's exciting.
Absolutely, I agree, and I really got to see that when I went to the international conference in Thailand. The amount of people and business owners and the amount of connections that were had in that conference was amazing. It was great to see.
It is a mindset, eh? When someone comes up and says, "How can I help you?" You're like, "Hey, whoa, yeah, I don't know you. I don't need help." But when you understand the philosophy and engagement that we have, it's a genuine thing, which is rare, but not within the BNI form.
Absolutely. So you are the national director for BNI Canada. What do you see BNI Canada's focus in 2021?
Our focus is brand awareness. We're a tool for the business community toolbox. And so when I look at April 1st to today, as an organization in Canada, we've had about 100,000 referrals and $100 million of business generated for our membership. And so not everyone knows that. And so we're not a household name, but we should be. And so my focus is that brand awareness campaign. We're a tool in the Canadian business toolbox. And so we do a disservice to everybody in business that they don't understand that we are a viable platform for them to do business and engage. It's not for everybody, right? It is not for everybody, but we want the people that it fits their wheelhouse and their wants and their needs to be able to know that we're out there and we're here to support the business community. And we have a global initiative to restart the world, one business at a time. And so I take that to heart for 2021. We want to support and restart the local communities, one business at a time, and then the local provinces, and then the country, and then be able to support the global initiative. But that is my focus, is making sure that when someone says, hey, would you like to come to a BNI meeting, the individual knows exactly who and what we are.
Nice. I agree with
Nice
that.
and easy, right, George?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great vision to have, one business at a time. It's amazing. We see that in our region, in our chapter. We help support local businesses, and it's a little selfish sometimes. It feels good. It feels good to help somebody out in the local community. And
Yeah,
help
in the
them grow their
communities, you guys
business.
are doing a really good job supporting community as well.
Absolutely. Our team in our region is really picking it up to help support where we can. I agree 100%. Okay, let's change topics a little bit. Let's talk about you. So in 2020, you went to the Sydney Olympics and competed in sailing. First off, did you medal? And second, how long did
No,
it
no,
take you?
everyone's got a story. It was 2000 Sydney Games, so I raced sailboats with a fellow in the West Coast, and we were right in there for the silver. But stuff happens, and you get your story, right? And so I ended up fourth.
Oh,
And so the bridesmaid it's the bridesmaid. But you know what? The experience was tremendous, and the opportunity to participate in the games was tremendous. And so it would have been nice to have medaled. But it's interesting because I have something even better. My father and my brother also went to the games. They went to the Olympics in the same boat. And so our medal is the pecking order at home. And so I
wow.
remember telling my brother at the London Games, it's going into the last race, I said, listen, bro, you're not going to be able to win it, but at least beat dad, because I've got you. And so I've got the pecking. I'm the top of the heap for the family, but just try and beat the old man. And so that's a fun piece to have that common thread with our family, my brother and father.
Wow, that's a great tradition that you three all participated in the Olympics. That's amazing. My second part of the question is, how long did it take you to train for the Olympics? That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's a lifetime, right? When you have the right DNA, it helps. But it's a lifetime, and it's a focus, like anything in life. Any time you want to perfect something, there's X amount of practice that goes into it, right? Whenever you want to perfect anything. And so it's the same holds true in business, in your personal wants and interests, as well as sport. And so that was a lot of work, but you can't complain, man. You're in a boat, so it's always sunny, right? You don't sail where it's cold. So
Beautiful. So I'm a huge sports fan, and doing my research a little bit on our podcast today, I understand you played in the CFL, which is amazing. Football's a great sport, and I love to watch it. I don't play it, obviously. But my question to you is, who's the best player you ever played with, and who's the best player you ever played against?
Monroe and Cofield. And so I just did a presentation on it. And my first game as a rookie, playing for the Ottawa Rough Riders, and I lined up against an ex-NFL guy, Cofield, who was the strongest man in the NFL. And so he grabbed a hold of me on the first play. I grabbed a hold of him, but he was a hell of a lot stronger than I was. So I think his impact was more than mine. And a good buddy of mine, James Monroe, who played beside me, turned to me, and this gentleman starts talking trash and all this stuff to me. And James just said, "Do you mind?" I said, "No." And he took care of the situation. And so I'll never forget that. And so I was able to play 4 years in the league. And one of the reasons was having a guy like James Monroe, who was a perennial player, out of Syracuse, and he knew how to ball real, real well. And so you come and go, and you have different levels of stature, but that guy, he enabled me to have a bit of a career. He was always there to support me. So And he took care of the Cofield guy. It was
Nice.
good.
It's always nice to have people that help you, you know, and support you throughout your life, not only in sport but in business as well. So
It's essential. Yeah, it's
absolutely,
essential.
yeah. So you were born in Montreal. You live in Montreal. What's the best thing you love about living in the city?
The Belle Provence, man, Montreal. It's funny, born and raised here. Kind of funny to have a career in the career that I had with sailing in a landlocked type frozen pond area. But Montreal has a beautiful culture. My family comes from here. Generations and generations. One of the best things that I find is we have that European flavor. French and English. My kids are gifted. They're perfectly bilingual. And when you talk to them, they'll talk to you in French or English, and they detect right away what your mother tongue is. And so that's a nice piece for us to have, is to have that flavor. And our airport has European destinations galore, just by nature of the European connection and flavor. And so I left here for 12 years as I did my sports and traveled the world and lived abroad. But it's funny how you come home. And so I guess something innate in me wanted to come home. And right now it's November, and it's not going to be warm for the next 6 months. So I question whether or not I made the right choice. At least my wife tells me every day that we might not have made the right choice. But
Oh,
Montreal's a beautiful place to live. It's safe, it's friendly, and it's my home.
absolutely, I agree. It's one of the best cities in Canada. I've been there on multiple occasions. We had tickets to the Grand Prix this year that got canceled, so
Oh no.
a little disappointed there because it was going to be my first one, but that's okay. Maybe next year. But one of the other things I really love about Montreal is all the ski destinations you guys have around the province that we don't have in Ontario, which are beautiful and great to visit. Great place. All
Well,
right.
you're part of our network. You're not setting the bar that high, George, because Montreal, we're a little better than you, but let's get west, right? Because
Yeah.
they keep offering you more, and you have contacts all through the country. So
Yeah, but I can drive to Montreal and I'd have to
yeah,
fly.
there you go.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. BC's got some amazing places to ski for sure. So we talked a little bit about travel. You lived abroad. Uh, we actually met up in Thailand a couple years ago for the international conference, which was one of my highlights for BNI. Since you've traveled a lot, what would you say is the most beautiful place that you've been?
Oh yeah, man, you can't answer that. I mean, I think you know what, it comes down to your experience, right? There's every place has got flavor, every place has got beauty and culture and all that stuff. I tell you, Thailand, Bangkok was pretty sweet, man. We really enjoyed ourselves. Phenomenal culture. But for me, like I said, not being a tourist on this planet, vis-a-vis the community that I'm lucky to be part of, for me, it comes down to the experience I have in those communities and the stories I come back with. There's a thing on our license plate that I love. It says "Je me souviens." I remember. And so that to me is one of the gifts that we have. I remember a lot of these great experiences I've had all over the world, and BNI's afforded me and my sports to be able to be lucky enough to travel all over. And so a lot of these places are phenomenal. But I lived in New Zealand, and down under is pretty sweet, man. So
Nice. That's one of the places on the bucket list to visit for sure.
yeah, it's worthwhile.
Nice. Well, Kai, thanks for joining us today. What did I miss? Is there anything that you'd like to talk about that I missed today?
No, but I want to thank you for doing this. It's great to give people an opportunity to talk. It's great to get to know people. And so that's one of the things that I love about BNI is that we've got a relationship. We know each other, but we spent 15, 20 minutes before we hit the record button, and I get to know more about you. And so that's one of the beauties that we offer within our community, our organization, is the depth of relationship. And so you never know what someone knows or who someone knows, and being able to take the time to learn about someone, take the time to support someone, it's amazing that it comes back tenfold. And so thank you, George, for doing this on a regular basis. I think you're fantastic at it. You've got a great Ontario Southwest BNI team surrounding you with Rav and Erendip. And so continued success to you, my friend. And thank you very much for having me today. I appreciate it a lot. Thanks.
Thank you, Kai. It's a pleasure to have you on. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what would be the best way to do that?
KAI, Bjorn, BJORN. Type it into your search bar. But when you hit BNI Canada, I'll pop up. And so any member across the country has access to our platform. And it's my pleasure. This is what I do for a living. This is what I love to do. And as you can see, I love to talk. So I'm open to talk about referral marketing and other things with any of you. So thanks.
Thanks, Kai. Have a great day. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, you as well.